chances coming back to the long stuff. Maybe we'll talk about the two courses combining, but for you, has this been a frustrating year, an enlightening year? What's the process been like for you to undergo all this and to be back in a national team, not on your own whip?
Well, I think that you got to look at things from a positive point. When I ventured down this path and discussed how I was this Olympic aspirations, I set myself a plan, which is what we always do, and said, okay, this is what I need to do. These are the boxes I need to tick. I'll know by this date. If it's positive, I'll do this. If it's negative, I'll do this. And that plan got shifted out a bit further than I first anticipated. But the big positives out of it for me are, at 38 years of age, I added speed to the equation for a year, and what 38-year-old Ironman athlete has done that? So when I do move back to Ironman racing, that's a huge plus. I can add the endurance relatively quickly, and it could give me a life 3 or 4 more years on than I would have had before. I've been able to meet and race probably the fastest generation of triathletes on earth that have ever lived. The Brownlee boys are, without question, the greatest draft legal swim bike runners I've ever seen, and I've been able to meet them, meet a lot of the guys involved in this journey from multiple nations, and really make myself relevant with a generation of triathletes that really are different than my generation, where Ironman was a lot closer to the ITU world. Now they're completely two separate worlds, light years apart, and I realise that many of these kids have no idea who Craig Alexander is, or myself, or they're just like, oh, they're those guys that do that long, slow, funny thing that's in one of those islands in America.
Oh, the famous Mark Tinley.
Yeah, Mark Tinley, yeah, exactly, that sort of stuff. So, they're the big positives, and I think, getting to know a lot of the young guys, I think they've realised that I'm a bit of a loose cannon to some degree, and I speak my mind and I think I've stood up on multiple occasions for them, and I think they feel like I'm a voice that they have had, they've been too fearful to voice themselves. So I think it's positive.
So without going into massive detail, give us say 1 or 2 points where you think the Olympic process for you as an athlete has gone wrong.
I think not just for me as an athlete where it's gone wrong. I think the Olympic process is. Whenever someone mentions Olympics, we try and create these elaborate Olympic selection policies to ensure that the best team goes to the games. And the problem is that you're planning that 4 years out. So you sort of have an idea of who you want to be in that team when you're making those plans. And I think a policy that's just clear cut. When you're an athlete, you're very straight line driven. Set a goal, set your processes, and then execute. And I think that should be the same case in selection. And when you keep the process in the athlete's hand, give them the direction, allow them to set their path, however they want to do that, and give them whether if they make it, it was all off their back, and if they fail, they can deal with that, because there's 2 people out of an Olympic. There's those who go, which is a small number, and those who fail to go. And the ones who fail to go can go on to be your greatest ever athletes. But it's how you deal with those ones who fail to go, and that process that can ruin the future for them. And Emma Snowsill missed an Olympics and has gone on to be our greatest an Olympic gold medalist, and she was screwed up in a process. And McKeely Jones has been screwed up in a process, and other athletes like Peter Robinson, who put himself on a team from nowhere, went on to be our greatest ever short course racer. So there's 2 sides to any Olympic thing, and it's how you set that process. And I think keeping it as simple as possible, keeping the game clear and concise from the beginning, and putting that control in the athlete's hands is the game. And I just feel that the Australian system has never done that, and it's a shame.
Is it a harmonious team?
Define harmonious. I think it's
getting along. We talk about team sports, and to an extent, Olympic distance racing at the moment, or ITU, that format has a bit of a team element to it. But are we looking at a harmonious team at the moment?
I can only compare 2 completely separate eras. The era of the 90s, when it was run by Brett Sutton, and as an athlete there, whether you liked him or hated him as a coach, you felt he always had your back, and he really bred a we're in this together attitude. We're a team, and that fed itself. And I think we talk about the success of the 90s by individual names, but it was really a group dynamic that fed itself, and that was fed by Brett Sutton. You know, love him or hate him, he really did that. Nowadays, it's a very individualised program centred around certain athletes and talent identification and plopping people, and it's very disconnected, and that's where the bitterness can come with other athletes, where they feel that programs are set for other people, and so to say it's harmonious is very, very different. Would you say we're a tight team? No. Would you say we all get on? Yes, we get on, but there is definitely, you know, the sport's changed. The sport is changed. The Brownleys have come along, and in the women, there's teams being picked around certain athletes. Look at the English selection right now. They dropped Liz Blatchford, and they've put a swimmer on. So what's their plan? They've got Ellen Jenkins. She's going to be aggressive on the bike and set herself up. And unfortunately, the Australians don't think like that. And they still think we're caught in the old days, and we're building systems around athletes that, are they there to win or are they there to come sixth? Because I like the old Peter Robertson approach. Try and win at all costs, and if you don't, come last, because you'd rather die trying than not trying at all. Consistency is boring.